another week of progressions here. Today we're going to start back with our balance. We're going to do one set each leg. Now, if you need support for this movement, go ahead and grab it. So if you want to have a chair next to you, you can. I'm not going to have a chair next to me for the sake of demonstration, but what we're going to do is we're going to balance on one leg. We're going to go for 30 seconds. Now, I'm not going to be too picky on how you want to elevate the opposite leg off of the ground. I just ask that they can't be touching. All right, so we can't get into this pose here. They just have to be separate from one another. All right, so if you need to use your arms to go out to the side to help you balance, that's okay as well. We will lift one leg off the ground and hold for 30 seconds. Again, focus on something straight ahead. That's going to help you balance. One thing we always like to say, if I'm looking down, I'm going down. All right, so find something straight ahead that you can focus on. Make this 30 seconds a little bit easier. Got about 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, we'll go ahead and switch on over to the opposite leg. Again, you might find a difference between the legs. One leg might be a little bit easier than the other. Completely normal, trying to get them back to about even. All right, so we'll go ahead and lift the opposite leg and hold for 30. You might start to feel some of the muscles in your lower legs start to fire, or maybe even in your feet, your toes. You could even start to feel the glutes just a little bit. All of those muscles are going to be important in the stabilization of, in this case, your entire body here. Hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Our squat. So if you have never done a squat with us before, we're going to go over just some cues and tips to get you started. So first things first, your feet are going to be about shoulder width. All right, so that's going to be kind of a relative term here. So they might be a little bit inside, they might be a little bit outside. Right around shoulder width though is going to be an ideal squatting position. The other thing you want to think about is your feet. All right, so your feet here, we don't want them turned in. We don't want them way out so that I'm squatting like this. That's going to be a plie, right, in ballet. So we don't want to do that. We're squatting here. We're not in a ballet class. The other thing that we want to think about is sending our hips back. All right, so a lot of times when people perform the squat, they have a tendency to drop straight down, which takes their knees forward and their heels up. All right, that's a recipe for me falling forward. So what we need to do is we need to push our hips back, all right? So it's not going to be way back, but we're going to shift the weight from our midfoot into our heels, and then we're going to slowly lower our butt down, maintaining a nice flat back, and standing. Last but not least, drive the knees out as we squat, all right? So when we go down into the bottom of our squat, our knees should not be caving in. If they're caving in, that's actually going to point towards weakness. We'll go ahead and perform 15 reps here. I'll perform a couple from front facing and then from the side so that you can see. Feet, shoulder width. Arms wherever you want today. Across the chest, on the hips, out in front. All right, whatever you want. Hips back, butt down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Show you from the side. We'll keep going. 10, 5 more. 1, 2, 3, got a pad for my head here. Can simply use a pillow. I do have some weights. All right, so I'm using dumbbells. The good thing about this movement, you can basically use just about anything that adds an external load. All right, it's gonna sit across our hips, so it doesn't have to be the utmost perfect thing for that weight. It can, again, just be anything that adds a little bit of challenge to this movement. So recall from last week, we press our lower back into the ground. From here, we raise our hips. We'll do a set of 15. 1, 2, squeeze the butt cheeks at the top. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next exercise that we're going to get into today is going to be our reverse lunge. So, previous weeks we've done a split squat, all right? So we've separated our feet into that stagger stance. We made sure our core stays braced, we're up tall, and we drop the leg down. All right, we're gonna add a new dynamic to that today, but we're gonna have some support. So our reverse lunge, our feet will start together. We're up tall, our shoulders are back, core is braced. I'm gonna reach my leg back, then drop it down, press through, and bring the feet together. All right, one thing that you want to focus on here, you don't necessarily need to get the knee all the way to the floor. We are trying to get it towards the floor, but it doesn't have to touch, especially if you can't control that descent. So if you're reaching back and you can't control here, and you're coming down hard, I don't want you to be going towards the floor, okay? The other thing is your step. Now, when I do a reverse lunge, if I step right here, and I just go back a little bit, this front knee is way, way forward out over the toes. Anyone that has knee pain knows that that's going to cause even greater knee pain. It's also not the best movement to get into if we're trying to prevent injury. So our step needs to be back a little bit further so that our shin stays nice and vertical. All right, we'll get into 10 reps on each side. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We'll switch sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. From here, we're going to get into a bit of our upper body. So we're going to get into what's basically called an upright row. Sometimes a face pull, depends on what book you read, what article you read. But what we're going to do is we're going to separate the knees. We're going to drop the arms down here. We're going to try and pull our elbows up and back. All right? So our goal isn't necessarily to flare these elbows up as high as possible, but kind of start the weights out in front and pull up and back at the same time. All right? So let me show you from the side really quick. what it looks like. So I'm seated here. Again, those weights go out in front just a little. I'm gonna pull up and back while I complete this. All right? We'll go ahead and get into 12 reps here. So sitting towards the front of your chair, legs are spread, weight out in front, up and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, halfway, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more, 11, 12. We're staying in our chair for the next one. We're getting into now an upper body. We're still in our chair. We're going to get into, rather than a pull that we just did, now we're going to get into a push. So in previous weeks, we've done a single arm press, all right? Again, with our presses, we want to make sure that we're not going to a point of pain. So if this point causes me pain right here, I'm not going to push through that pain just to finish the movement all the way up and overhead, all right? No pain, no gain. That's completely and utterly false, all right? So we are not following that adage here. But today, we're seated in a chair. We're still going to brace our core, all right? We're going to take both dumbbells. Elbows are going to be tucked inside. We're not going to let them flare out. Elbows are tucked, and we're going to press straight overhead, all right? Again, if I can only get to here, that's going to be my point today, all right? I'm not going to push beyond pain. We'll go ahead and do 12 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Getting close to the end here, we're going to get into another upper body movement here. Previous weeks, we've done our A's, we've done T's, and now we're going to get into our Y's. So I've got the band set up in the door again, is what we're going to get into for our Y's. We're trying to take those hands, so they're going to start about shoulder height, and then we're trying to raise them as high as I can into this Y position. All right? So I'm making myself into the letter Y. I'm bringing my arms right back down. Back up and down. I've got the band over here in the door. If you don't have a band or you don't feel comfortable using the band, this exercise can simply be done with light weights or no weights at all. All right? Just like this. Show you what it looks like. Arms at about shoulder height, and I will raise to a Y position. Keeping my core braced, not allowing an extended or overarched spine. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Last but not least, we're getting into our Romanian deadlifts. So if you think back, we did these back in week 1. Romanian deadlifts, we're going to tend to keep our legs a little bit straighter. All right, we're going to focus on driving the hips back. So my feet are going to be underneath my hips. I do have weight in my hands. If you don't have 2 dumbbells, go ahead and grab a broomstick, anything that you can, again, to add an external load. Feet underneath my hips. I'm going to bend my knees slightly. Think about this as soft knees. And I'm going to go ahead and push my hips back. All right, I'm going to keep a nice flat back here, and I'm going to feel that tension down the back side of my legs. From here, I'll push my hips forward and stand tall. We'll go ahead and do a set of 15. Knees bent, hips back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5, 11, 12, 13, 14,